So going into camps, it's important to have a list of questions,
Yeah.
have purpose going into them, try to build that relationship with these guys and make an impact. And you're 100% correct. Be at the front of the line, in between drills, meeting them, whatever it is, go above and beyond, do what other kids are not doing.
Yeah.
But have a lasting impact. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about junior season. When you become a senior,
very different.
Right. When you become a senior, you need to dial those questions in because these coaches probably should know you by then. But I always tell kids when you go in, I know I'm talking, I'll let you talk. But you go in with questions, you go in with a purpose as a junior to get that experience, communication, whatever. And then when you get to be a senior, that needs to be a little bit more dialed in on what it is moving forward. Those coaches should know you before, and then you should reach out to them, in my opinion, before the camp.
For sure.
Reach out to them during the camp, and then afterwards, coach, what did you think of me? What should I do moving forward? And then so on. So you just talked about your junior year. Now let's talk about moving forward in the preparation going into your senior year, because this is your final impression you're going to make with these guys.
Yeah. So like you said, the way I'd go about camp season, like just one by one, is like we said, junior year, I'd aim it at just getting your face in front of as many people as possible and building as many relationships as possible. But then once you go to senior year, you have to be very intentional with what camps you choose to go to. And I think that's when you kind of need to be realistic. Like if you're not talking to a school your senior year, I think the likelihood of you getting an offer by just showing up at a camp when they don't expect you to be there is very low. So I'd be very intentional with where you go. I would say don't go to a camp your senior year unless you're invited or you reach out and they know you're going. So as soon as you get there, you're already on their radar. And I think that's definitely how, if there's a school you really love and you just want to take a shot with, I wouldn't shoot it down. Like obviously go for it, but don't like be disappointed when they don't even talk to you. Because if you're not on their radar before you get there, then it's a problem. So I would say that whole before your senior summer, that whole like spring, winter period, you need to be using to just build that relationship, get to know them, like send them workouts, send them progress and stuff like that. So then right when you get on campus, you're like, oh, you're that guy. Like I remember I walked through the door and at the Penn camp and like I saw the head coach and he knew my name right away. And like that's just a good feeling you want to have because you've built that relationship and done all the heavy lifting before you get onto campus for your senior year. So then you can just focus on football. Because obviously junior year is different because that's when you're building the relationship. So junior year camp, you're going to do a lot more talking. But by the time you get to that camp your senior year, all the relationship building and talking should already be established where you're kind of on a friendly term with a coach. Like you can even throw a joke in, like you're on that kind of rapport where you know each other. And I think that's where I kind of got with most of the schools I wanted to talk to, where once I got to those camps, I was ready to just like be friendly and show them. Because once they know who you are as a person and you check that box, and that's also a very big part because professionalism and how you carry yourself, coaches obviously take note of. So that's a big part, and a lot of kids maybe don't know that. But once you check that box, it simplifies it a lot where you just have to show up and play football. And once you check that box, then okay, you do what you need to do. So I think that's probably how I would go about camp senior year.
So when you're looking for a camp to go to, how do you break that down? How do you decide on camps that you're interested in going to?
Yeah, so the way I went about recruiting as a whole and how to select what was which is I made a list, and I literally still have the list, but it was 3 categories. The top category was schools that would have to take a shot on me. So like I'm not necessarily the average guy. Maybe I'm a little smaller, a little slower. They'd have to take a little bit of a shot on me. So that was tier 3. That was the top. So it's like maybe for me specifically, like high Ivy stuff like that. And then tier 2 was it'd be a perfect match. Like I'm good enough to play there based off of the players they have, and they'd be lucky to have me, and it'd be just a good fit. And then tier 1 would be schools where they'd be lucky to have me. Like I believe I'm better than most of their players, and they would be really lucky to have me. So I looked up schools that I liked, like high academic, whatever, that fit what I wanted, and I divided them into the tiers. And I kind of, before camp season, went and looked at that list and chose like 2 schools from the top, 2 schools from the middle, 2 schools from the bottom that I'd built a relationship with. And that's kind of how I chose what it was. And also, camps are expensive. Camps take a lot of travel time. So you also kind of have to be smart because, I mean, at least for me, I traveled with my dad, and it's like my dad wasn't ready to just like take a bunch. I know some parents are. My dad couldn't just take like 5 weeks off in the summer to just travel back and forth. So we kind of had to just we picked 2 weekends, and it was like, or 2 weeks, sorry. And we just did like 4 East Coast camps, like back to back to back to back, because it was easy. And then same thing the second week. So you had to be like all these variables you kind of had to put together, and that's what we did.